So yesterday we had this discussion about the Iran. Well, we always have this discussion for the last 4 months, and the currency and how we mitigate our risks based on imports and exports of the commodities that we trade. And I heard this morning in the news that Iran is now at a 80-year high inflation, 76% I think inflation, and I was wondering. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we can look at what happened in the past. So it was interesting for me to maybe, if I can show you guys a slide of what's happening at the moment on where's the duration of the war, the Iran war, compared to other wars of the US, and also in the other sense, what's the cost of it as well. So if you look at the screen there. So the Iran war is currently 164 days since the start of the first strikes or the first conflict. So in relation to other wars, it's already longer than the Spanish-American War, which is probably not a very well-known war, but it's already it's already increasing. World War One was only 584 days. Although they didn't necessarily have so much involvement in that. But in relation to the rest of the wars, the Vietnam War is 7,121 days. Afghanistan War is 7,267 days. So maybe it's just something to think about, that if we are expecting of how are we managing our exposure to imports and exports and the currency that we're currently we need to look at in order to purchase at the right times. We need to think about what's the duration of this war going to be, possibly compared to the rest of the world.
So Albert, I'll just say, so one thing, I mean, what you are currently showing is there's uncertainty. And I think what I would like to know from our side is how does companies like importers like yourself and exporters handle that uncertainty when they go into the market and establish price and need to import, need to export against that price. The second thing is just, I see there's no Ukraine-Russian war. How long has that now been running? Just the top of your head.
March 2022.
Yeah, it must have been about.
Okay, so we're already 4 years in.
Yeah.
So that's already what, over 1,300 days that war has been ongoing plus. So it just shows you, I think the main concern here, and that's what we're trying to tell our clients as well, is when you start a war, like Trump has started this war, it just doesn't end as easily as everybody thinks it's going to end. I think they all thought it's a Venezuela type of takeover,
Yes.
And it's definitely not. Iran has got 90 million people. And to send troops into that country is not going to be easy.
Yeah.
So and he's talking about the regime change. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we see uncertainty for longer than certainty. And that always makes it a lot more difficult to manage your price and your margins.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think to add on the wars is that the significant one of this is that even if you look at the Afghanistan war, is the significance in this one is that it basically has a global impact, especially on what's happening with Brent crude, with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
Yes.
So where the Afghanistan wars had certain impacts, but it was more a regional impact that it had. From a US point of view and a Middle East point of view, with the closure of the strait basically impacts the global infrastructure and obviously how everybody operates around that.
So if you try to quantify or what is the magnitude of this war, the other slide that I also have is the cost in billions. This is obviously inflationary adjusted. But compared to where the Iran war is currently in duration and where the cost of the war currently is, you can see that it's already quite further down the line. So it's we're hesitant to understand when to import and when to export. What's the right timing? We see in the news that we have peace talks, and okay, hopefully that's not going to resolve. We see the oil is dropping again. Okay, let's wait for it to normalize. But is it realistic for prices to just normalize after 4 months of attacks and conflict between these two nations? And what's the effect of the Brent crude, which also has the effect of sulfur, which also have the effect of fertilizers, urea, and all other inputs as well. So as an importer, we try to say that, like we are looking at the forex, buying the dips, as an importer, selling the highs.
As an exporter is selling the highs.
Yes. So in that sense, I think we are hesitant sometimes, and maybe you can just give some advice on that. People that are waiting for things to normalize again, and we see it in a physical commodity as well as in the currency, that we're following the trend of buying these dips, and the importers are not following necessarily those dips because they're expecting lower lows in that sense. But managing the currency is the biggest thing at this stage for us. Not knowing exactly when to buy or when to sell.
Yeah, so you've got a very valid point. Currency can definitely erode some of your margin. Well, a lot of your margin if you're not proactively managing that currency exposure. And everything starts with exposure. Exposure. When do you have exposure into international markets? And that is when you need to start looking at your currency. Now, that can be either in a form of an order or a PO, or then an invoice, an actual invoice. So a lot of people discount the order. They're not looking at the order side of things, and they wait for the invoice to be issued, and then only then they'll look at the currency side. So from Russell Stone Treasury's perspective, it's all about exposure. So when do you have exposure? You go and look at those two different exposures, and then you need to start managing that exposure. We are very lucky that the last 8 months in the South African rand, we've been actually seen not a trending currency. Yes, in the beginning of the year, we saw that 1563 low, and the rand was trending a lot lower based on inflation, based on our national or social political environment, etc. But from there, we've actually seen the rand range bound. Now, we haven't seen this for a couple of years. So it gives opportunity for exporters, and it gives opportunity to importers. Every time there's no deal, exporters get their opportunity, and the currency goes up to 16, 70, 80s, 90s. And then, as soon as we hear anything about a proper deal being struck, it comes down to 1630s, 20s. So it's actually not a difficult model to trade this year. You need to wait a little bit. And we see the point of control around about a 1640, 1650 level. That's almost where the market is satisfied. It always goes back to those levels. Now again, you just need to be wide awake, or you need some advisors to advise you on these type of levels. Fade your trades into those levels. And what I mean about regarding that is, when a currency breaks a 1640, you want to start buying dollars from 1630 into a 1614, and like we saw, 1640 a massive level that it's struggling to break on the low side. Now again, you always get your importers that we were at 1690. I think it was July 23rd of July, and they're waiting for 1595. You need to fade it in. You need to do something at these levels.
Yeah.
And again, with the exporters as well. So that's what we're advising our clients to do. but there's good levels, and we're going to see that range bound until the conflict is resolved. That's the one thing. Or if economic data truly pulls through. And what I mean with that, we are very scared about the inflationary pressure that this war is putting on the global economy. And as soon as we see that pulling through, and you see countries need to hike interest rates because of the inflation, it will put different pressure on the currency, like the South African rand. So if the war keeps on doing what it's doing, you're going to see a range-bound currency. As soon as that subsides and you truly see the economic factors coming through, you can maybe see a weakening currency just because of the inflation and because the Fed possibly needs to hike.
What we're seeing as international traders is that the war has an effect on our pricing. Yes, it's got an effect on freight. It's got an effect on availability of product, lead times, all sorts of components. But the Fed decisions, for instance, last week, the non-farm payrolls that came out all of a sudden negative, and we dropped from 1680 right down to 1630, 1620 again.
Yeah.
And the effect of just the statistics is, in this case, much larger than what's happening in the war. So should we keeping a close eye on the war? Yes, but should we keeping a closer eye on what's happening in the dollar news?
Definitely.
That's almost a bigger component to look at now.
Yeah. I don't know, Chippy, if you guys are seeing a sort of a dismount from the two. What we are seeing is you having 10-year bonds at 470. And we're talking that was when the Fed was still increasing their interest rates. Okay, 470 currently, with the rand trading at 1620 today. And you've got Brent at 88 or not Brent.
Brent.
Is it Brent? Brent at 88 today. So there's sort of a dismount between what we see in the rand and what we're actually seeing in the market. And I always trust the bond market. That's always a leading indicator for me what the market is expecting. So yeah, I think for importers, exceptional good levels to start covering.
Absolutely.
Definitely. If I was an exporter, I would sit on my hands a little bit. I would wait for those spikes because our model is showing that you can definitely see them in the 2 months, 3 months area when that inflation pressure is truly setting in.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, from an exporter point of view, and I think Albert, again, obviously from an importer point of view, and for all exporters and importers, is to at least have a strategy and a plan for hedging currencies, or maybe playing within other commodities, which is related to the global and the situation that we are in at the moment.
So increasing as the global pressure increases,
Yeah,
that commodity increases.
Yes. So, for instance, if you look at crude, that also has given more or less indications on where the rand's going into. Is to if crude is low and the rand is low, depending on obviously where the market is in and the conflict that's keep on going well, is that maybe obviously crude is also a good opportunity to have a look in obviously trading that, then outright just FX. So maybe looking in different strategies in covering yourself, or opportunities to obviously make an extra buck or two.
Yeah.
To have a look in that. But I think the main thing is just not to do it blindly, but to have a strategy and a plan and stick to it. Have small adjustments in what the market makes, but if your end goal is that you want a average currency of 1660, what's the plan in obtaining that? Is that we buy it as we go up or sell it as we go up, just to make sure that you stick as close as possible to your plan and your strategy that you have for your exporting or importing business.
100%.
Absolutely.
We always say, in treasury, we say you need the exposure, then you need to formulate a strategy, and then you need to execute that strategy and manage it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying. If you don't do that, you're going to see your margins erode.
Yeah, and keep to it, and keep to
Yeah,
the plan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, it's not one swing of the wand and everything's 100%. You just need to keep on doing what you're doing year in, year out, and you'll see more a larger benefit towards your margin because you are actually managing the currency risk.
Absolutely. So maybe just to summarize, what we're seeing is in relation to previous years or previous history of wars, the US wars, the cost is already ramping up to $37.5 billion already in cost. We're not necessarily expecting it to end anytime soon. Peace talks is only peace talks until the fat lady sings, and we in relation to what else is happening, currency is very important, and doing more frequently, doing something on your exposure.
Yeah.
Even if it's smaller, but more frequent to have that average effect.
I wonder how many exporters were waiting for 17 or above 17, a couple of weeks ago, and they missed it.
You're looking at it.
Oh no! So exactly what we're saying. If you were fading it in from 1680 upwards, you would have sat here and be very happy with your decisions. So yes, again, I'm saying it's range bound, but there is a lot of uncertainty in the global economy, which gives us great opportunity as traders to see that opportunity, to exploit it, and to actually make good margins.
Absolutely.
And I think that something that we need to obviously keep in the back of our minds as well is, let's say, for instance, the conflict ends tomorrow. There's still going to be a bit of an aftermath,
ripple effect,
and a ripple effect of what happened the past 4 months. We all know that the US is really obviously depleting their own reserves on the oil front. How long is it going to take them to obviously build that up? That gives buying power. That means possible higher crude. So again, obviously, it's. I don't think that you need to be in the mindset that if it gets resolved tomorrow, that everything's just going to be normal going forward. There is going to be a period of aftermath, even if hands are shaken and the deal is struck.
Absolutely. No, definitely. And just figure-wise, do we see a 1560, a 1580 on the cards? There's a possibility that can happen. I don't think it's at all sustainable with inflation in South Africa being above 5%. What is inflation? It's just another gauge for devaluing your currency. Your buying power is getting less and less and less. So I don't see that sustainable level. So at these levels, 16, 14, a little bit lower, we'll be absolutely buying dollars. And then I think longer term inflation is going to set in, and there can be pressure on the rand for weakness, and we'll be talking to our exporters there.
Yeah, that's excellent advice.
But with the range that you were speaking in, then what the rand were trading in, between, let's call it 17 and 16, where the range more or less is, I think that is fair value for both importers and exporters, depending on obviously where you got it in the range. Do I think from an exporting point of view, it's the best thing that if the rand goes to a 1550, not necessarily. Is it great for importing? Yes. Are we a predominantly exporting country? Also yes, but I do think that within the range that we were in for the past, let's call it 8 months, there's been good value for both importers and exporters.
You were a bit spoiled the previous couple of years with 19 and,
yes,
and 18s.
Absolutely.
So the exporters again did really well on that side, but it was a tough market for importers.
Definitely.
Playing in that.
Not out there.
There's definitely opportunity. Buy low, buy the dips. Don't wait for one level. Exporters are exactly the same. Don't wait for one level. Fade it in. Talk to advisors. Talk to guys that actually understands the market, that keeps an eye on it, on a daily basis, and that can advise towards this market.
Exactly.
That's the best.
On a currency and a physical commodity perspective. Buy the dips, sell the highs. Right.
Sounds easy.
Yeah. Right. Cool.
All right, thanks,
Thank you
guys.
very much.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.